All right, and we're rolling. I'm here today with Britta. Britta's a friend of mine from the past. Currently, she's a teacher now.
Yes.
Yes,
I know.
also a veteran of the bar game as well.
That's very true.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So, she worked at some of the bars that I worked at in the past as well. But she now is a teacher full time, and I haven't talked to Britta in a while here, so let's catch up.
Yeah.
What do you? I know before in the past you told me like you were going to be a teacher, but like I didn't know like what kind of teaching, let's get into that first of all. Here. Yeah.
So I actually I had a pretty, I guess, like unique teaching journey in a way that the place that I've got to already isn't very common, I guess I would say. So I started my teaching career. It's my second year now, but I did my practicum in special ed. So I actually asked to work in a specialized classroom.
I got so many questions.
Oh yeah. And
Right.
I have a lot too. You caught me on like a good week for a podcast because my work week was just very chaotic because the students were not having a great time. So I started my practicum in special ed, and then I ended up actually getting a temporary contract with the CBE right after I graduated. So I was working in the same classroom that I did my practicum in for the first year of teaching. And then now I'm a permanent teacher, and I'm at a high school teaching special ed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to say what high school? We don't have to.
I'm at Centennial High School in the southeast of the city.
Okay,
so.
yeah. I know Centennial. Like that school's new-ish, right?
It
All
is,
things considered, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because when my caveman ass was in high school, Centennial was like the new high school on the block. So I remember we played them in sports, but I just remember going to their building back then, and it was like, I'm like, this school is way more advanced than our
Fun
school,
fact of the day, I actually graduated from Centennial High School when I was back in school, and then now I'm back as a teacher.
Oh, geez. Is that weird for you?
Honestly, it's actually really nice because I didn't really enjoy being in high school when I was there. It wasn't like the greatest time for me. I'm not a super social person in that way.
What?
I mean, like, it depends.
Maybe I just know you differently.
I think, well, it's especially in high school. It was just like, I just didn't enjoy, honestly, a whole lot of the people that I was in school with. So I wasn't having a great time. I just stuck to my studies. So it's much nicer coming back to a building that you already know and feeling more comfortable and confident in that space than you did before.
Is your photo still in there?
It is. Okay, so my photo is actually right outside my classroom. So you leave my classroom and you look up to the right, and up on the wall there is little Britta Byman hanging out on the wall there. So it's quite nice. Yeah.
Sorry, what was your last name, Britta? Like I never actually think I got your last name.
It is. It's Britta Byman.
Byman? Okay,
Yeah.
like BYMAN.
Byman.
Yeah. Okay, sweet.
Yeah.
What is that? Like nationality?
Swedish, actually.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Sweet, very good. So are you full Swedish then? Like
not full Swedish, but my dad's family and like my grandma came from Sweden, and then my mom, I think they're English.
Okay. So you're not full Swedish.
No. No.
Who's a full anything except for me? Like full Chinese.
Fair enough. I don't think anybody really is anymore.
Yeah. Well, especially like with Europe's history, it's absolutely like mangled in there. But we were talking about this in the last podcast with my last guest. But like to say someone is Canadian, it's like I still think it's we are absolutely a sovereign country,
totally.
right? But I'm saying the physiologically, it's still not enough generations removed to say you're Canadian, like that's your bloodline.
There isn't
right?
one. It's just like Canadian. Hasn't everyone always said that Canada is kind of like your mix? It's like your melting pot of everything.
Yeah, we're a super melting pot. But like South America, for instance, like like the Brazilians, for instance, it's clear their history is Spanish, the Portuguese, and then indigenous people and blacks, right?
Yeah.
So like that was essentially, and then there's been so many generations now of mixing,
right?
So when you say, "Oh, I'm Brazilian," it's like people in their brain they think of that's a nationality.
That's a good point.
But Canada's still so like we're only a couple generations, so whenever you see a Canadian, you can still trace like French, English, Irish.
That's
Swedish.
It's not really, you can't just be Canadian.
Yeah, I think it has to be like 2 or 3 more generations, like before it's like that is now a ethnicity,
like its own new thing.
Yeah, that's the way I think anyway. I mean, it's just like what I've noticed. Because again, I mean, when I look at someone and they're like, "Oh, I'm Canadian," I'm like, "You're Irish,"
or like you might have been born here, but like I can tell that there's something else there that isn't quite Canadian.
Going back to your teaching, okay, so special ed. Can you dive in? Like, what does that mean? Per se? Like, who do you work? What kids do you work with? And And like, go on first.
Yeah. So special ed is kind of a broad term. So there's a bunch of different specialized programs that the CBE will say offers. And they all kind of are geared towards certain different ability types. So my students that I'm teaching right now, most of them are nonverbal. So they don't speak verbally a lot of the time. And if they do, normally it's like 1 or 2 word sentences and a lot of mimicking.
Physically, they can't speak verbally, or they have like special.
It depends. So some of them, so one of my students, and I know teachers say that they don't have favorites, and I'm going to tell you and everybody, that's a lie. Straight up, it is a lie, because while we love all of our students and we love things about them individually, you do have a soft spot for certain kids, right? It's like, I feel like it would be the same with parenting. If you have multiple children, you probably have a favorite, or one that you at least like the most. Yeah,
I was obviously the favorite.
Obviously, so was I.
Out of my siblings, of course. Of course.
Yeah. But so one of them, he can speak, but it's like he chooses not to, right? So he can do it if you ask him to, but he just won't, and he'd rather use a communication device. So we use a lot of technology in the classroom so that these kids can communicate. And a big part of the program and part of my curriculum that I teach them, which isn't laid out anywhere, it's just like we have to make it from scratch, is actually teaching them how to use those communication devices and letting them know that it's good to use them, and making it what's the word, like commonplace.
Okay.
If that,
I have so many questions. I'm trying. Okay. Again, I'm being respectful in how I'm wording.
Oh, yeah. Don't, if you're worried about what type of word to use, just ask me, because I know a lot of people are, they kind of tiptoe around it. So I use the word for my students that they're students with different abilities, or students of differing abilities, because I'm not a huge fan of saying that they're like disabled, because I don't know, I don't really believe in labeling something as a disability, where it's just like they can do it, but they just do it differently.
Okay. So would you say are they cognitively impaired? That's what I'm trying to ask. Okay.
Yeah. So the students that I teach have mild to moderate cognitive impairments, and or they have medical conditions as well. So some of the students have medical conditions that impair their ability for their brain to work, and some of them have a condition where when they were like growing in the womb or whatnot, their body didn't develop properly. So then that will cause other problems as well.
Okay. So, okay. Again, more questions here. I'm trying to say, okay. So like when you have to develop their curriculum then, because right now you're teaching, is it grade 10?
10, 11, and 12.
Okay. So it's high school, so it's high school. So are they all in one class, or do they have a grade 11, 12 system?
No. So my classes, they're all in one classroom, but they're just in different grades. So they all learn a lot of the same things. It's just kind of, you really base everything that each kid is learning on where they're at and what they need to know. So it's
specialized per kid.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like, what about their math, for instance? Is one kid, would he be doing I don't know if they still use, again, I might be aging the fuck out of myself here, but like, is there still pure math and applied math and IB math? Because that's what I had.
Yes, but no. I mean, like the words are different.
Those terms even, do you
I do remember them. Okay. Yeah, those terms, they still exist, but they're just called different things now. Okay. So my classroom doesn't have any of that, but regular high school, they have like, you do math 10C, and then it's like 10 common, and then you do like -1 and -2.
Would 10C be, since you knew the past, would that be applied or pure
math? Pure.
Pure? Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, so like, there's ranges of the cognitive struggles, if you will, but some kids might have, for instance, like, joking around here, but the Rain Man, right? Dustin Hoffman's character. Yeah. So like, he's obviously super genius when it comes to math, but then he might be considered needing special needs because he can't function in society.
Yeah.
Right?
So those kids would be like in a PACE learning program. So that's a different type of specialized classroom. So those students have the ability where in high school specifically, you can take those classes and get credits. If you're really good at math, you can take a 10-1 math course. And then if you need to stay in your specialized classrooms for everything else, then that's what you get to do. Okay. So when you get to high school, it's a lot more flexible. My students, they don't really have as much flexibility. And when they do, it's because myself and my partner teacher make that flexibility for them. So we're able to have them integrated and take them into other classrooms and things like that. But most of the time they're in our classroom with us.
So you said partner teacher, you mentioned that upstairs, but so there's two of you that teach. Are you guys like equal or are you the top dog? No.
Well, I mean, we're equal. I find like the kids will go to us for different things, right?
Okay.
So it's a really interesting dynamic that you have to work with, and it's actually like
Is there like a good cop, bad cop thing
a
going?
little bit, like it kind of has to be. I mean, because the kids respond to different things, right? There's certain students that very much gravitate towards me, and there's certain students that very much gravitate towards my partner teacher. And I think a lot of that is based on our personalities, because we're so opposite, but we're very complementary with our strengths.
Okay. How many kids are you teaching currently?
9.
9? Okay.
Yep.
Is it how'd you like, commendable, first of all, because society needs people like you to teach, because I could not do it. And I mean, I feel bad for saying that, but I struggle enough with managing myself.
Yeah.
So like, I'm like, how can I don't know. Like, but how'd you even get into that? Like, it's like, that's pretty intense work. Like, are you like, are you gutted a lot of times, like,
I mean, it's kind of funny because I've always wanted to be a teacher. I've always known that's what I was supposed to do. But I got into special ed, honestly, just because I've always enjoyed that. I've loved helping students and kids and other people that have learning disabilities and struggle in different areas of life. I've just always found that was something I was good at and I really liked. So it was just a natural kind of route for me. And I stuck with it and put all my eggs in one basket, and it ended up working out. So yeah, but I mean, it's very difficult emotional work a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So
because you're very compassionate.
Yeah.
So like, I can just imagine, like,
it gets really hard some days because I'm such a feeler with them. And
do you cry at work sometimes?
Sometimes, yeah. Like you'll have rough days,
Yeah.
where it's because I know I have one student who I love her so much, like just the sweetest little nugget. We call her our little sailor, because she will randomly get really angry and just start swearing at you. She's just like, no, fuck you. It's like, I'm done. She'll like, well, oh yeah, she walks out in the corner and she's like, bitch. So that like it pulls at your heartstrings a little bit when you're genuinely just trying to help her.
Well, I'm laughing because of the way you did it.
Yeah, well, that's how she does it though. Like, I'm 100% serious. She will go and sit in the corner when she's mad at you, and she'll sit there and go, bitch. So but you have to laugh at it, because that's the only way that you keep yourself sane.
Were you being a bitch?
No, I wasn't. She asked me to fill her water bottle, and I said yes, and then I brought it back to her.
That
and
makes
she
you a bitch.
No,
that makes you a bitch. She's like, look, I got this bitch to fill up my water bottle.
That's what she's using it as, I guess. So, but I mean, like, it definitely, you have to laugh about it, because you know that they're not doing it from a place of maliciousness. They're not trying to hurt you. They're just fighting their demons. And sometimes we're all fighting our demons, and they just fight their demons a little more on the outside than we do. And I think it's kind of cool. And I think I wish that when I was angry, I could just be like, no, fuck you. And then I could go. Right. But we could do that, but we don't. Right. But these kids,
it's not recommended.
It's highly unrecommended. But I think what's really cool about these kids is that they teach you to be okay with being yourself, and they show you that you can be yourself. And it's because they don't know how to be anyone else, and they don't understand really that they're different a lot of the time. But I really think that's quite beautiful, to be honest. And it's one of my favorite parts of my job.
Have you heard of the comedian Shane Gillis?
I don't think so.
No? Okay.
No.
He's getting up there. Like, he kind of blew up more recently, but but he kind of touched on kind of what you said there, because Shane, for lack of a better word, he makes fun of himself. Like, he has physical features that might make you think like maybe he had a little bit of Down syndrome, right? Like, but he doesn't have he doesn't have Down syndrome. But Shane Gillis, he actually works with a bunch of Down syndrome kids for I don't know what the context is again that he does that. I think he either volunteers or, you know what? He's so famous now that I look dumb that I don't know exactly, his.
He works with the communities.
No, he's a comedian full time, but he, like, there's a period where he was coaching kids with Down syndrome in sports, but he was explaining what you said. He's like, man, something I draw from interacting with them every time is they're completely themselves.
They are.
And they're like, no, most people aren't themselves, or they take forever to figure out themselves. Like, they may not be themselves till they're 40.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And these kids are just doing it. And it's like, he basically draws inspiration to remind himself, like I'm the funniest when I'm just being myself. Like take the good and the bad and the critics or whatever. But you gotta be yourself.
You really do.
You gotta like the music you like. You gotta dress the way you feel like dressing. You gotta go do the sports you like. When you're pretending and faking, it's it's not good. And we're all guilty of that throughout. Mostly until you're like really 20-ish.
I was going to say till early 20s.
Yeah.
About.
I would say, when did you say you became yourself? Would you say?
I would say, well, honestly, probably a couple of years ago. Like I would say 23, 24.
Okay.
Well, I guess that's more than a couple of years ago now. That's fine.
Oh no, it was a couple months ago. Yeah, you're only 23.
We're close there, right? But honestly, not even. I think it genuinely took until I was teaching in a specialized classroom, like the first classroom I taught in, and when those kids taught me how to do that and how to be myself. I think is when I actually got comfortable with it.
Interesting. Yeah, I was talking to this with some friends recently, but for me, I would say 19 was when I started to be the Shawn you see before you and then at university really dialed it in for me. I would say that's when I became who I discovered, like, this is what I like. Yeah. This is what I'm not willing to compromise anymore. That's
a big one for me recently. Is like, I am so unwilling to put myself in any situation where I might be the slightest bit uncomfortable. Yeah. I'm like, nope.
Or pretending to like something.
I will not. Yeah, I can't do that anymore.
There's certain music back in the day that everyone pretended was good, and then or at least the majority appeared like they said this is what's good music. And I remember being like nodding my head and then pretending like I listened to it too, but
you're like, this is shit.
Well, to me it's shit. Like, it's just not me, But then down the line, I started to like that music again. But I've come to realize the maturity and finding yourself, it's predicated in you putting yourself through enough experiences to figure out what you. So I don't know, like, if I ever become a parent, I think one of the strategies I'll have, because I don't want like my fictional kids to make this mistake. It would be like
my potential future children.
Yeah, like I would be like, hey, we got to make sure. Let's try a plethora of everything out there. Like, for instance, like, look, play basketball, play soccer, play football, do MMA, do jiu-jitsu. Like, that's the sport part. Listen to this, listen. Like, just figure out what you like from now. But
a little charcuterie board of activities.
Yeah, like just
taste everyone, see what you like.
And then, but keep in mind, you'll like different stuff later. But that should be your base level, and then you grow off of that. Because like, I had so many moments of like, that I look back and I'm like, oh, Shawn, like, you were being such a poser back then. Like
I think we all have that though.
Well, dude, God. Like, I mean, I liked, for instance, like Limp Bizkit, that band. So I really liked Limp Bizkit in junior high. I mean, and their music was crazy for a 13-year-old kid to be listening to, especially like, I grew up in the suburbs, so I didn't have hardship.
It's okay. I was literally listening to like Eminem on my way on the bus to band camp in like grade 8 and 9, thinking I was hard. Oh my God.
I do love Eminem.
I do too.
He's probably my favorite rapper. But going back to the Limp Bizkit thing, I remember I went through a period where I wore the backwards New York ball cap.
Stop.
And then like the khaki shorts. Like, I dressed like Fred Durst, but I realized as I was doing that, I was like, I like the music, but I don't want to dress like Fred Durst.
I don't want to be the person.
Yeah, like, but I found myself trying to wear the clothes because everyone else was. And then, but as you get older now, then when you find yourself and you're confident enough, and then I remember, like, I can like whatever I like now music wise in the way that I like it. I don't have to wear the backwards ball cap. Although sometimes I find myself now I do wear backwards hats from time to time, but I never was that backwards hat guy.
Yeah. Now you wear a backwards hat because you want to wear a backwards
right?
hat.
Well, I'm super old now, so like now I found myself finally. But if I just go back to young Shawn and be like, hey man, just like the music, don't have to dress like that. When someone like is chirping you, punch them in the mouth.
Literally. Like, if they started it, you're allowed to finish it.
Yeah, like, I'm in a martial arts. Why don't you just punch them in the mouth?
That's smart.
I remember some kids that, like, they just dissed me to a point where they're like, oh, you like the music, you dress like a dork, and I'm like, thinking in my head, like, my mom bought me this.
I liked this sweater.
Yeah, I was like, the next day I'm kind of like walking around like little homie G or whatever. And then they're looking at me like, oh, fuck, Shawn got hard. And I fed off that. I'm like, oh, man, I think I'm hard now. So I'm like, okay, I guess I'm hard, But really, I wasn't hard at all. I was getting more and more depressed deep down.
100%.
I was like, I don't like this.
I know. High school is really difficult. I mean,
well, but back then it was like, the bullying was even crazy.
It was way worse. One thing I will say that is really, really nice about being a teacher now and coming from, I guess, like the time that it takes to become a teacher from when you leave high school to get back there, the changes that I've seen in the way that students treat each other and the way that they treat like my kids specifically, they're so opening and welcome to like my students. And there's so much more.
Really?
Oh my God. Yeah. Wow. Like I was shocked because when I remember back in the day,
Oh, they were targets. And it was brutal.
They were,
like we should all burn in hell for those moments.
Honestly, yeah. People were not kind, and like not even just to like special ed kids, but just to each other. And I find nowadays they're a lot more tolerant of differences and other opinions. Like obviously not it's not everything's not all like rainbows and sunshine, but it's much better than it was. And the amount of like, so I work with a lot of integration with my class. So I really try to have my students working with students from the traditional program, just so that they can see that my students are people too, and they're really fun to be around. So we have like leadership class kids that come in for buddies 3 times a week, and they hang out with us for a class period. And then we also go to the cosmetology room on Tuesdays, and they get their hair done with the cosmetology students.
You guys have a cosmetology room?
High schools are amazing now. They're so great. I know, it's phenomenal. Oh they go in and like get their hair washed and like their hair like dried and styled and color. Like it's great.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it's literally phenomenal. And then we've also been doing, we now go to the art room and stuff. So, but what's like the greatest part about all of that is seeing the traditional students like say hi to my kids in the hallway, and it's unprompted. Nobody's telling them to do that. But you know, one day one of my kiddos was like having one of his meltdowns. He was really upset because he wanted his mom to come pick him up, and he had to take the bus home but honestly, he takes the bus every single day. So there was no reason for him to think his mom was picking him up, but he was set on the fact his mom was picking him up and was having this meltdown. And one of the students from the leadership class, who honestly is a student that normally gets in trouble a lot, and like it doesn't really go to class and whatnot, he saw us in the hallway and he stopped and he crouched down because this student is quite short, and he was like, "Hey, like, are you okay, little man? Like, what's up with my dude? Like, this is my buddy." And his friends were trying to get him to like come out, and he was like, no, my little dude's upset. Like, I want to see what's wrong. And it just made me like, it was so heartwarming to see how much they love my students, and it's nice to see them accepted like that. So it's been honestly just like the most heartwarming last few months.
Man,
6 months there.
I'm glad you told me this, because you know I don't really hear about this. You know, because you know, like I was working a couple bars recently, you know, and worked with some younger people who are like only 18, 19, getting into the bar world there, and I don't know, like the stories they were telling me anyway, it just seemed like it was what I was experiencing back in the day. So I was like, and I kept thinking in my head, man, it must be worse because now you guys got the phone.
Yeah,
like, and cyberbullying.
Cyberbullying is a big.
But you telling me these little moments of heart, like some true compassion. Like,
yeah,
thank God,
it really does restore your faith. And obviously, it's you don't see things like that every day, but I am starting to see stuff like that every day. But I think it's, you know, genuinely, and I'm not like tooting my own horn, but myself, my partner teacher, and the teacher in the other specialized program across the hall, we're really putting in that work to make those kids a part of that community and make them visible. Because I think the first step, I truly believe in inclusivity, is just visibility. So being able to see those students in those spaces, and you just like naturally get to know them, and they're so funny when you get to know them. You just have to learn how to speak their language.
Yeah. Well, again, yes, because they don't know anything else. They don't know how to like fake it, you know. And which is wonderful. Okay, like touching base on that topic here, I was thinking in my head though, because you know, like nowadays there's been a lot of flack, for lack of a better word, saying, you know, like the younger generation is too sensitive, right? But then when I think back about what you just said right now, I'm kind of connecting some dots. I'm like, well, it's not that people are less sensitive before, they just had to like become posers to get through the day. They had to hide it, right?
You weren't allowed to be sensitive.
Yeah, you weren't allowed to be sensitive because like some serious bullying went down.
Yeah.
So you like almost like a borderline like you know, if prison intensities of level 10, maybe it's just a 1, but still it's on that chart where there's this weird hierarchy where you kind of have to act tough and this and that.
You do.
And it's like, and I just realized if you don't have to do that, then for sure you wouldn't have to be worried about whatever, being super aggressive when you really don't want to, right?
Yeah.
You kind of get what I'm saying?
Totally.
But again, I don't know. There's pros and cons to both ways, because like the more you take abuse, so to speak, but you find a way to overcome it and then use it as a strength per se. Like you don't get stuck in the trauma. Then you definitely get tough, you know, because I'm big into like, you know, like some machismo stuff, if you will, like martial arts and whatnot. And like a lot of these fighters explain like the bullying, ultimately they wouldn't take it back because it made them into these powerful fighters, and then now they're compassionate as well. So then I'm like, okay, on the flip side, I guess for the people who can make it work for them, it's a building tool going through trauma, right? But most people, I wouldn't say should go through too much trauma because I think most people not everyone is equipped. Again, I'm not singling out the populace. I'm just saying a lot of people, they're not born with that mean streak in them.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So they shouldn't have to
develop that just to
protect themselves. There you go.
Totally.
Yeah. So right now, but would you say this new generation, do you think they're more sensitive, or is it kind of maybe it's the way this is supposed to be like this?
I think I wouldn't say necessarily that they're more sensitive or less sensitive, because I think as human beings, we're all wired to be sensitive and we're all wired to have the same feelings. I think what happened with the new generation is that they are more willing to share those feelings, and they're understanding a lot of the problems that have come with our society and the way that we've built things. And they are more willing to be vocal about standing up against that and saying that the way that things have been isn't okay and they want to change it. So I think they're just more willing to be sensitive and show people that they're being sensitive and not hiding it behind their mask of.
Okay. So again, I'm trying to, I'm sorting out my thoughts in real time here, people. So, but right now what I'm trying to say is, I believe, okay, I call my thoughts here. I think it's a balance.
Yeah.
Cause to say no bullying, that's not right either, because I go back and some of the bullying and insensitivity, it was I wouldn't take it back. It's fuel, but it's just, I guess maybe there needs to be a whole other branch of showing people how to control their focus on their trauma, if you will. I don't know how to use that to
I think so I think what if I'm picking up what you're putting down properly, so those people that normally, if they went through a lot of trauma, would shut down instead of building that hard exterior. So those people, and nowadays I think they have more of a space to, instead of hiding from their trauma and dealing with it behind the scenes, which would cause them to break down, they're able to go and talk to somebody about it. There's so many more options for people, therapy and all that kind of stuff. So I think that helps.
Necessary. No, that's necessary. But okay, I'll give you an example here.
Yeah.
I lost my train of thought for a second. Could it be from this?
Yeah.
I don't know. Oh, geez. Anyway.
There we go.
Well, my
steady.
Yeah. Okay, so for instance, so I listened to some Navy SEAL podcasts, for instance, right? I love that stuff. Maybe in a other life I could have been one, but they were explaining that. Long story short, so say the metric to be a Navy SEAL is up here, right? Up here means you can rock a rucksack for X amount of miles. You can bench a certain amount of weight. You can climb up a thing. You can haul equipment. Like a physiology standard is here. And then you've heard of buds, right? Yeah. So buds is that. Yeah. So the buds used to have this massive, from what I understand, the attrition rate. Say 1,000 people apply it to buds, you might get 20. Yeah. And then that becomes your graduating class, and those people go on to train to become the Navy SEAls for the special missions and whatnot. From what I understand, again, I could be wrong on this. From what I understand, the less and less people, maybe it's not just buds. I believe it's the Green Berets too, and all their other it has the new candidates. Say out of 1,000, maybe one gets in now. Out of the old metric. So then they had to lower it eventually because it couldn't have no special forces, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, could you imagine? We have to keep it the same.
Yeah.
We're gonna.
But that's that's the fine line now. They're trying to figure out. They're like, hey, well, are we making weaker warriors, because that was the old standard,
right,
and now that's where we're struggling, is because they also have come to realize too, a lot of military vets are so traumatized by the time their entire career is over. So it's
PTSD.
Yeah. So it's maybe that was too much. I don't know. I don't have the answers, but I'm just saying, it's been noticeable.
It's really interesting.
Well, yeah. So you don't know the right answers. And then especially right now. So, in Ukraine and Russia, they're having a war right now, right? So which is actually,
can we for a hot second, the way that you can go on Facebook and there's Facebook lives of people literally, literally in the, I don't know.
That's what I get confused about.
Literally in the trenches?
There's TikToks of live battle now.
I know, it's crazy.
I catch it and then it's gone.
So I'm
I think that was real.
But that's some late stage capitalism shit. Like you're watching a war on your stupid little fucking smartphone while you're sitting on your couch all warm drinking your beer. Like, are you kidding me?
It's weird.
It's crazy.
You know what's crazier is thinking about the soldier. So he's become so
desensitized?
I don't know if that, but I don't know if he truly has desensitized, because maybe they develop a new level of emotional control. Like, you know, because the buddy's like, oh, yo, just TikToking while I'm in the middle of this battle.
Like, but is that not the same as those people that like would Facebook Live them shooting someone and they like get arrested for murder? Because they just don't connect those dots because they think it's so normalized.
There's a different cause though, right? Like the guy committing murder is doing a purely sociopathic act.
But the thought of like putting it on the live, I think, comes from like a weird same place in our social brains.
Don't know. They're young, man, right? Because most of your field platoons, they're probably 19, 20, 21, 22. So they're like just younger kids that are also into TikTok.
My sister is 19. So that would be like sending my little sister off to war. Like,
but that's how old they were back then. I mean, if we go throughout history,
it's not how old they are now when they're at war. Like,
yeah, I don't know.
It's
but
scary.
It is what it is, but it's also just, I don't know. It just makes me think a lot of times because I mean, like you and I, like in the past, like when we've talked, like we're I wouldn't say we're on complete different political spectrums, because I wouldn't say I'm a full right wing. I wouldn't say I'm a full left wing. Like I'm definitely somewhere in the middle, but just because of the way I am, there's a lot of more right wing tendencies. But again, I wouldn't entirely say I'm right wing, because like my family members are LGBTQ. I have this, and like it's like, and I'm a pretty compassionate guy. I would like to think, it's just
like human rights are cool.
Yeah, so. But at the same time, I'm about to open a bar, so I'm a capitalist.
That's a good point.
I'm an entrepreneur capitalist, right? And then, but right now, I don't know. Like I think we're definitely winging it. We're trying to figure it out, but too much inclusivity to the point where where you're basically creating no more warriors can't be a good thing either, because then you have a country, again, I don't hate Russia at all, because I know at the end of the day it's a complicated issue. There's 150 million people there. Like who's the politics is one thing, the people in command is one thing, but the people, most people are good people.
I know, the people of Russia are great. Like they're just people.
They're just people, exactly. So I'm not going to be like, oh, those Russians, right? But what I'm trying to say is just like, if there is another faction that gets aggressive, you don't want your entire society not to be able to do the necessary things to protect itself, right? So I don't know. I feel like it needs to be, you need to get the warriors back to like that level of no matter how hard it is, like it should be that crazy, but with the understanding of you're not doing it to break someone down, like you're not trying to break them down. But you want to toughen them up.
There's still certain like barriers that we have to, not barriers. What do I mean here? Like there's still certain jobs that need to be done that you need to have a certain physical aspect to be able to do, right? But I think the topic of like inclusion in that way, it's like, it's always about meaningful inclusion, right? So you can have inclusion where students where you're just like, or people where you're just like throwing them into different spaces everywhere because it looks good. Like so that would be, I guess, just like letting anybody become a Navy SEAL, right? It's just like, fuck it, we're open to everybody. Come on down, try your shot at it, right? Like, sign up here. Names on the board.
You're gonna get Zoolander,
right? That's what I'm saying.
Remember when Zoolander went into the mines, and then like his brother and dad were like working hard in the mines, and Zoolander's just like, I got the black lung because he's worried about the way he looks. Like we don't want that either.
So you can't do that, right? Like that's not feasible.
I don't have all the answers, man, but I just know that it's a balancing act. There's always been a balancing act. Like left wing extremists and right wing extremists. That's not the right way.
Both is bad.
But somewhere where you're like sharing and going in between, I think that's the answer. Because anyway, that's the way I've been living my life. Anyway, it's working out so far.
We're still here.
We're still here. So
doing okay.
But I just always, it is a little bit of a crapshoot, because I would say with the younger people that I've interacted with, again, I've said this in my other episodes, it's 50-50. Half of them suck.
But is that not the general population though? Because half of the general population fucking sucks.
I guess, yeah, it is 50-50. But
it always is.
Like that, like there's half where I'm like, holy fuck, this is what every grandfather who died in a war died for it just so that your kid can become like you. Like you're younger and you're smarter and you're better and you're like more compassionate, more head. But then it goes the other way where it's like, oh man, there's this guy now who literally you criticize him once and he just leaves everyone hanging, books it, like blames everyone else, and then starts to like create this little gang of people that also think everything's everyone else's fault. And I'm just like,
like, I hate that. I know.
Yeah, so I don't know what the answer is. And I would just say through my experiences thus far, and I'm always keeping an eye on this, it's 50-50, I'd say. Like a Gen Z is 50-50 right now. Mm-hmm. Half the kids I meet, it's like I'm in my mind prepared to like flip a coin, like this kid's gonna get it, or the other one is not gonna get it.
Yeah, 100%.
But again, that doesn't mean it's gonna be like that forever.
Yeah.
Like, because like who knows, 10 years from now, it might flip. The other guy might become a drug addict. The
yeah,
other kid
exactly.
might be.
And you
I don't
never know.
But there's something noticeable because I just remember back when I was just when I was growing up, like there was no inclusion. It was like, you want to make the basketball team? Oh no! Oh, you like Jimmy? Everyone likes Jimmy.
Yeah.
Jimmy sucks.
Yeah.
Jimmy's cut.
Yeah.
And it was brutal. And like then you when you watch that kid, like because like he was hanging out with the basketball players or whatever, and then like all of a sudden he's not there, but you're like, sorry man, like this is top 12 guys get to join this roster.
Well, and sports are still like that, right? But to a point, it is like in high school. I mean, I was the junior girls volleyball coach, right? So I had to make cuts. Like we had a team of like 12 girls on a team, right? There was over 40 girls that showed up to these tryouts, right? So you're sitting there, you're like writing down all these names, knowing damn well you got to cut like 75% of them, right? Yeah. So it's really hard and you have to make those hard decisions, right? But sports also is a place that you can have meaningful inclusion, right? But it just looks different. So we do unified sports at my school and a lot of different schools in the CBE. And what that is you have students with different cognitive abilities, and they're paired with somebody who's a partner. So the student with the different abilities, who would be a student in my class, for example, is then they're the athlete considered, and then they're paired with a traditional student or somebody of like, we'll say traditional intelligence. And then they work together as a team, and it's just different sports. So they do like beanbag toss, cornhole. We do bocce ball. There's basketball and all that kind of stuff. So you don't have to think about inclusion as including, people of different abilities in the sports that we do them in the same way that we do them now. However, it's about bringing our sports to those people in an inclusive way to allow them to participate and have the same feelings that athletes do. Yeah.
Well, like Arnold, for instance, he has the Arnold sports festival where he has special needs people do their Olympics, right? Like I'm all for that for sure. But right now, I definitely think, again, you and I might differ on this, but I think competition is a good thing ultimately.
Totally.
Because I know it worked for me. It bring out the best in me. Like, because it is like learning to dance with your ego per se is, that's the key. You're not trying to get rid of it. You're not trying to let it run wild. You're trying to dance with it.
But the purpose of the ego is to show you and like allow you to feel when you're taking a risk, right? Because learning doesn't occur unless you're taking a risk and doing something that you don't know.
Or just to compete.
Yeah, and like competing is taking a risk, right? So your ego is there to serve a purpose, but if you get lost in it, obviously, we all know somebody whose head is about 17 sizes too big.
That is a never-ending problem.
Yeah, 100%.
Because like you can be journeying through your athletic career or whatever it is, but then all of a sudden you're the best. Like you're telling me your head's not gonna get bigger.
Like, come on,
it's hard, right?
You're gonna think you're the shit.
Well, but in that time and space, you are the shit.
Yeah, exactly.
You literally have like,
and you deserve to feel like you are the shit.
Like, well, people rip on Conor McGregor all the time, and I love Conor McGregor, but at the same time, like I'm like, guys, he literally was on the dole like 5 years ago. He was in his parents' attic. Now he has a Ferrari yacht,
like, come
Lamborghini yacht.
You gotta admire that.
So you gotta admire, like, and he worked for it, and he fought, and he broke his freaking leg in the middle of a fight. And like, anyway, but people are like, we just have to be that much of a dick. I'm like, you and I don't know his reality.
Yeah,
like we don't look. So maybe him and his peers, who are also super up there, like, maybe they have to try to keep each other in check, but like your average guy can't tell him to keep in check anymore. Like an ego is,
come on,
like he just went and did the impossible almost. But I don't know. The ego thing, it's tricky. I do believe in I do believe in having an ego, but you just gotta use. It's tricky though. I'm not saying I have it all under control because I don't
think anybody has it all under control.
Like there's times,
and anybody who says that they do is lying.
Oh Oh yeah. Well, there's times where I can tell I just irked someone the wrong way. Just
that was not my best work.
Yeah. Oh, it's just because of my ego. Like, I mean, like, like I remember I was shooting some hoops just down at, well, it was a couple summers ago. I was shooting my hoops just down at Cold Garden.
Oh,
yeah. And I remember I was playing like a little game with my buddies, and it got kind of heated, and like we all used to play basketball, but I hit this winning shot, and it was the first game we all played together in like years, but I couldn't help myself. Just full on ego mode kicked in. I was doing the DX
Big
suck
Sally.
it. I was just like, suck it, like telling everyone to suck it. I was just like hands up here. I think I was like running around the court going, woo, like
taking victory laps.
Man. And I bet it was split down the middle. Like half the guys I was playing with were like laughing, like drinking their beers. Then the other half was like, you can see that look in their face. They're like, fuck you. Like, and then they ran it back. And then I was like, running back. Like I put everything I had in the first game. And then, then like,
what do you mean run it
back? Yeah. And then my buddy ended up smoking me for our team for like the next 2 games. And then the third one, like, exclamation mark. It was like the last like scores like 11-2. And then he's like kind of like, you're gonna be more humble. And I was sitting there thinking,
karma.
Yeah, it is karma. But I was thinking like, okay, you're right. But at the same time, that moment, there's no way I could contain that ego.
No, absolutely not.
Because my ego is just like, fuck yeah, still got it.
Right? And you have to take those celebrations though, right? Like if you never learn to like take time and celebrate your wins.
It all depends on how you celebrate.
But I mean, like a little showboating every now and then.
Like a fist bump, like this is great. I probably didn't have to tell everyone to suck it.
Probably not. That's a fair point. That's a fair point.
I think that's probably what overdid it. But
like everyone gets a little lost in it sometimes. Like you've seen the Super Bowl and like all of the NFL touchdown celebrations lately. Yeah. Oh, those have been unbelievable. And I love every second of it because, if I was in a line of work where after I did something amazing, like, so for example, I had a really great science lesson this week. I think it was 2 days ago. Definitely wasn't yesterday. Definitely wasn't yesterday. But the kids did so great and they were learning and telling me the answers to things that I genuinely did not think they would learn that fast. And if I were an NFL superstar in that moment, that would have been my Super Bowl, right? I would have been like taking victory laps around my classroom, doing the whole like bowling, like strike, like celebration touchdown, but like you can, right? Yeah. So I don't know. I wish that my job allowed for a little bit more for that sometimes. That'd be fun.
Well, we all have that energy brewing in us.
Oh yeah.
Hold on. Fuck, I had a question for you, and then you made me lose my train of thought imagining you like showboating. Because I'm like, yeah, that lineman's gonna really knock you out the next time. Like,
in front of a bunch of kids. Just
fuck.
Yeah, love it.
Wasn't that there's some old movie called oh man, again I'm dating myself. Like they not another teen movie. Did you ever see that?
Oh, I've heard of it. I don't know if I've seen it.
It's old. It was like made in 2000, but it made fun of all the teen romance comedies.
It's like
in the
giving
90s.
Scary Movie.
Kind of like Scary Movie, right? But but it was making fun of like She's All That. And,
like all those. But
there's this scene where there's this kid who he's like has learning disabilities, but he's not he's mentally he's with it. He's short. He has big thick glasses, and then the one Chris Evans actually. He's the guy who plays Captain America. Like he was the quarterback. He's like, we gotta let Jimmy like carry the ball, and Jimmy's like, I don't want to carry the ball. Like I'm just glad I'm on the field. Like just like it's the last play. It's the last play of the game. Like. We completed the game. We won. He's like, I'm just glad I'm on the field. Like, this is all I wanted. And then he's like, nah, cover Jimmy, get him to the end zone. And then sorry, my memory's blurring on the details, but he ends up running the ball and he gets to the end zone, or maybe he doesn't, and then he's just like, yeah, and he like has a moment where he's like, yes, I did it. I'm the shit. And then 2 linemen break him in half, like you tackle him, and he splits in half.
Oh, jeez.
And I remember thinking in my head, like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, like, fuck,
that'll happen. That'll happen on those big jobs.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Hang on. Okay, so right now, you're teaching right now, Centennial. Yep. So this is probably going to be your career then for the foreseeable future.
I think so. Yeah, I mean. I don't know, I'll be there. I want to stay at the current school I'm at for a while because I really enjoy it there. And I know what I want to start doing. My dream job would be, I always want to teach partly in special ed, so I always want to have something to do with special ed. But I do want to, my background is in science, so I've done like I've done research in science, and I really enjoy that part. So I want to teach traditional science classes, but I do want to create like a new kind of experiential science option where we pair students from specialized programs with students from traditional programs. And they can get credits for it. It'll be a regular like options class. But I think by the time you get to high school, and those kids that are in science, and I know this because I was a science kid, it gets so serious. Like science gets so hard and you have to study so much for it. And there's chemistry and there's physics and there's bio, and you're stressed about going to university and the marks and the grades that you're going to get.
There's a lot of politics in science.
There's so much. Yeah. And I think we forget that why we love science in the first place, and we forget how fun science is, and
but that's like
how interesting it can be.
That's like every field, though.
Yeah,
right? You know,
everything.
You might have someone who's like, I just love accounting, I love bookkeeping, and then all of a sudden you realize like, oh my god, like the world's kind of twisted. I got this guy. Reason why he hired me as accountant is not because I'm a great bookkeeper, is because he wants me to help him funnel these fudged numbers. Like,
yeah, it's oh my god,
you know, like it always. Well, yeah, I don't know. Being a grown up kind of again reminds you of like that human nature. Just shows you people are like multifaceted. Yeah. They're good and bad, and you try to be good. You know, try to be good. I was gonna touch on this one topic I was thinking of right now, because you're a young teacher. In all intensive purposes. Yeah. Like, and you remember like some of the other people we worked with back in the bar industry. Like they're all teachers now too. And I was making that joke like with them. I was like, when I was in high school, the teachers literally looked like Sylvester Stallone with a wig. Like so like kids now in the next 10 years, every kid who's been in the next 10 years, because if their teachers are in the range of early 20s now, they're going to be teachers. Yeah, they're going to still be a young teacher per se, even until they're in their mid 30s. Yeah. So there's a different element of relating to your students. Oh, you know, like so I'm like these kids are, in my opinion, in for a treat. You know, because like your teachers are more relatable than ever.
Totally.
Like they're almost like your older friend.
They're
like a big sis, big bro.
It's literally like one of my like students that comes and works in my classroom for a work experience. Yeah, she'll tell me, she's like, it's like having a big sister. It's like, it's so weird. And I mean, it's like what can be kind of difficult is you do have to be more cognizant of that line, because it can be really easy to like almost just be like a big sibling, but it's like, oh no, it's like, no, I am an adult. Like I'm the adult in this situation, but it also makes it really easy to relate to them. And I find that kids tend to listen to you more
if you're younger.
Yeah, because like, and I feel like some people might think that's backwards, but like when they have like an older person telling them to do something, they're like, you have no fucking idea what you're talking about. I remember, you don't understand me.
Yeah. Like I remember thinking when an older teacher talked to me back in the day, it wasn't that I didn't think they knew more. It was that I already thought, even as young as I was like, what you knew is not applicable to what I'm doing now. Yeah. You know, like I literally was thinking like, you got out of the Vietnam War. Yeah, like exactly. I'm in this generation now where war probably won't happen for a while because we solved your big mess. So now it's like, so stop trying to tell me to get my boots up and be all fucking serious and shit. But then it's weird. But the older I get, I start to think more like that guy from before, where I'm like, oh, maybe he was onto something. Yeah. Except was his jeans pulled up to his nipples?
See, right? It's like, I think every generation does things wrong and does things right.
Yeah.
But I think what's good about the younger teacher generation and the younger generation of people is just in general that they're more willing to accept and think about ideas that are dissimilar to their own. Yes. Like they don't just do a blanket. Like if your opinion is opposite than mine, I feel like back in the day, a lot of people were just like, oh no, fuck you, bro.
Well, they quickly got into tribes, and then they got into fights, and then they got like that's hence the why I started dressing like Fred Durst.
There it is, right?
I'm like, well, it's easier just to disguise myself as an Asian Fred Durst than to fucking have to deal with this like Joe over there throwing me into a locker.
Exactly.
And then having to fight that time, you know.
Yeah,
anyway,
but I like deal with a lot of the same stuff that they do. And I mean, I don't know. One thing that I've learned too is like back in the day, they taught teachers not to be themselves. Like they genuinely taught teachers to put up like this wall of like a stone cold, like blah, blah, blah. And like, I have never been that person and I never will be that person. Well, no. And now they teach you or
that's
tell
why every
you
teacher
to.
had a little flask in there.
Yeah, they're just like,
fuck, this sucks.
Yeah, it's like, I don't like not being myself. But
and after a while, they don't even know who they are anymore.
Exactly. And that was awful.
When you've been faking, pretending. I mean, it's like that in the entertainment industry too.
You lose who you are.
You lose who you are. Like, I was going to ask too, like, because right now, like for instance, you have a bunch of tattoos. Like back then, you never saw a teacher with tattoos,
no,
except for my high school basketball coach. That guy was fucking ridiculous. But well, he was young, so he was only 26. But I remember he like like he was always dressed up to here to teach.
Yeah.
And then when it was like basketball practice, he was like looking around. He's like, okay, kids, I'm not gonna lie. Like,
Fuck it.
Well, because he played pro over in Europe. So he's like, I'm joining in the game today. Yeah. And then I remember he whipped out his gear. He was just like completely tatted up. And I remember thinking, I was shocked back then. I was like, holy fuck, you know, like, well, some of the designs was skulls and fire. And like, so, you know, as a 15-year-old kid, you know, like especially me from like a suburb. So I was just like, this guy's hardcore.
Yeah. Oh, he's kind of scary.
You know, and then, but now I think it's nothing. But how times have changed.
Oh, it's crazy.
Because like now teachers have tattoos and like teachers are, they're just like, again, they look like older brothers, older sisters.
Well, I look like a student 90% of the time that I'm there because the students look older than me. But like, I'm not even kidding. Like, it's a little scary sometimes, but I roll in with like a ball cap on, my hoodie like over my ball cap, my leather jacket on with like a pair of, with like a pair of baggy ripped jeans.
Are you doing this as you walk?
Rolling? No.
Because you always said leather jacket, ball cap. You're like, what's up, kids? And then you're like a little switchblade.
How do you do, fellow kids?
Yeah, a little switchblade action.
Oh God, but no, it's bad. Like a lot, honestly, and it's really nice to be able to wear kind of whatever you want, really, and it just shows your personality. Obviously, every school is different, though. I just work at a school where I'm very lucky that they enjoy when you as a teacher show your personality.
Well, I mean, how young is the principal now?
So oh my God, so the principal now was actually my assistant principal when I graduated there.
Okay.
I don't know how old he is, but he's not old.
Yeah, see,
he's not old.
So now it's just the way the workforces work.
Yeah.
Like it's now going to be younger everything.
Yeah.
Like, you know, because like the baby boomer generation, like they are nearing retirement, although a lot of them aren't retiring now because lifespans are just prolonged.
Yeah.
People are probably dying now in their 80s.
Yeah.
So like if you want to even retire at 60, like you probably go till you're 70, you know, and then the way that latter part works, a lot of these older people have like 5 weeks off a year with every stat holiday. So they almost want to work.
Yeah.
Because they're like, I'm kind of bored. If
I would get bored.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
God.
Like, yeah. Oh yeah. Like everyone I know who's, you know, like my dad's age, his friends that retired, it's crazy. Like they've aged drastically, like quick, like overnight. It was just like, so I'm like, no, like, and then they all say the same thing. I wish I didn't retire. Like,
yeah, it's because the time you stop working and when you stop using your brain, it just starts deteriorating.
It's really about using your brain. So like,
Totally.
I don't know. So like, from what I understand, a lot of them now have got back into something. They got some purpose back. Yeah. Like maybe it's not a job because money's really not their problem at that point. But like you have to have goals, you know.
Yeah.
And like working is the easiest goal because it's in your face, right? Because
everyone does it.
Yeah, everyone does it, and the job you're doing, even if you don't like it, it affects other people. So then you got to do it, right?
Yeah.
So it's like that's good. But it's really like we're in an interesting time as far as we know, but this cycle has happened before. I mean,
it always happens.
Yeah. So I think the last time teachers were young, if we're using a full career teaching, like a career span of 35 years, 40 years teaching, the last time in theory would be the 60s that people had younger teachers, right? You know, when you think about
I really did pop in at the best time. Because I love being a young teacher, honestly. It's because and my favorite part about being a young teacher, and I don't know if it's just a young teacher or just who I am as a person, but I tend to really relate and work really well with those kids that are like kind of those fringe kids, right? Those ones that they skip class. They don't really feel a purpose of going to school. They think it's stupid. They think it's useless. Like I really enjoy working with those kids and like showing them a purpose. But it's just like, I don't know, it's just been really cool to come into teaching and have a permanent contract and be, you know that I'm going to be one of those younger teachers that's going to like change and like kind of change the way that people see education. Because I think, you know, for a lot of people and even myself, like I don't like the way that our school system is. But it's cool to be, you know, kind of like on that like forefront of the people that are hopefully going to be able to change it.
Yeah. Well, also you're man, I lost my train of thought. You're on a roll there. Okay, keep talking. I forgot what I was going to say. You like being a young teacher? Great. It's definitely good because you're with the people that you're trying to mold, right? You know. I was going to ask though. Okay, so right now in that teaching world, kids all have phones. Again, I sound so archaic. I know you have phones. Like fucking.
But we didn't have phones when we were I got a phone in grade 5,
but it was different.
The whole thing.
It wasn't.
There was those like
social media was barely a thing.
Like Instagram wasn't even.
Yeah. So right now, how is that world? Like, do you have to deal daily with some kid like crossing the line on the internet, this, that, like, because I've been hearing a lot of that. Like that's the biggest issue with because let's face it, right? Like every kid, doesn't matter how many parent locks get put on your phone. They're gonna find a way to see like everything from porn to like drug stuff to like, you know, I mean, like, just even like I'm a fitness guy, and like the amount of kids that have access now to steroids, and they just find like it's crazy, right? So I'm just
but like cause like the kids, they're, I'm not saying I've seen it for legal reasons. I've never seen this happen. And I actually haven't seen this happen. But kids nowadays, I just know for a fact that they can get their hands on vapes. They can get their hands on weed. They can get their hands on
everything.
Goddamn near anything that they could
way
want.
More than the past.
But I genuinely wonder, I'm like, how? Like, where do you guys get this stuff? Like, they're like, there's high schoolers get suspended all the time for vaping in the bathroom. And it's like, how are y'all addicted to nicotine? Like, where are you getting it from? Like, I just like, I don't even know. It's like, but I mean, at the same time, I'm not one that's going to judge them for it, because I know that they're all probably living, like a lot of them are living really hard lives outside of school, right? And if like that's what they need to get through their day, who the fuck am I to judge them? Like,
well,
really,
the smoking nicotine vaping thing has always been a weird one. Like I remember as a kid, like I saw a Humphrey Bogart movie, like clip, like that's from the 40s. And there he was. Humphrey Bogart was like, he was like the most popular actor in the 40s. Casablanca, the movie Casablanca. No, okay.
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
Oh wow, it was mainstream, I guess. Anyway,
it's fine.
Yeah, okay, but he had the top hat on, the trench coat, and he always smoked. Every scene he had a cigarette. He always had a cigarette. Like, anyway, I just remember as a kid, I was like, that's so cool.
But do you remember like the little Popeyes candy cigarettes that they would sell us?
But like,
oh my god!
But I'm like, it sucks to say, but like, by the time I was like 17, I had my first cigarettes, and then cigarette. But but I don't know. But by the time I was 19, like I was fully smoking, and I still have cigarettes from time to time now. But I don't know what it is. There's just some allure with it,
right?
But it has to be a cigarette because you know it's bad for you, and you're still doing
like,
it.
Looks kind of cool.
Oh, it looks cool.
You know,
it feels great.
It does. Like, don't smoke, kids.
While you're smoking, it feels great. A few hours after, you always notice you're like, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah,
because your body's a bit wonky, and like,
gross.
And the more you do it, again, it only feels good while you're doing it, and as you're not doing it, then you feel wonky. So like, ultimately, don't smoke. I have to say, but I will say, back then I had this allure to the danger of it. Like, also everyone who smoked,
it's like a little spicy.
It's spicy, but it's also like the men that smoked that I saw, they usually, back then, they were also awesome. Like,
they were cool, like James Bond and shit.
Like not just the movies, like in real life, like the people
they
that
were
I saw,
your silver foxes, like your hot older man, like the mysterious hot older man,
and
a cigarette.
They also had like, they had money. Shit going. They had money. They the smokers.
They went to like casinos with like bad bitches.
Yeah,
they did. You can't deny they did.
The smokers I looked up to were also, wow, I'm copying them now. Like, they were in shape too.
Yeah.
Like they didn't let this standard, this thing causes cancer, to like,
no,
like they
I know what you mean.
But then they didn't just smoke. They did everything. They drank, they smoked, but they drove fast cars. Like they're just risk takers.
And I went to the gym too.
Yeah, exactly. They're like they just found a way to have it all. And I remember thinking, like, that's awesome. But the vaping thing is what throws me off, because I'm like, this isn't real smoking. This is like a watered down fucking, because it's supposed to be
I'll take my cancer organic, please.
Well, yeah. Exactly. Right? Yeah, like, because it's supposed to be bad for you. It's supposed to like have a bit of bad smell. It's supposed to, be rugged, like a cigar. Like, I'm probably gonna get into that pretty soon here. But but whenever I see someone vaping, I'm just like, okay, look. And I remember I took a couple hits of some vapes, and like, I was like, okay, this is nice. It's like a bubble gum.
Yeah,
but I'm like, but the fact that it's nice is why I don't want it. Like, I keep saying,
it doesn't fit the aesthetic.
Yeah, I'm like, bro, just smoke an actual cigarette like a grown ass man if you're gonna smoke. Yeah. Anyway, by the way, all of this was us acting. We're not supporting smoking at all in any way, shape, or form.
Nicotine is bad for you.
No.
Don't smoke. Stay in school.
Okay, Britta, on that note, I'm gonna plug the pull the podcast right now.
Perfect.
Britta, you do have some social media. Do you want me to put that on there?
Sure.
Okay, cool. So I'll put Britta's social media there. You can follow her life and her adventures there.
It's mostly just like pictures of myself and my cats and my plants.
Love it.
So it's great.
It's basically my personal fucking Instagram too.
Could be worse. Yeah.
Okay, Britta, I had a great time. So when the podcast studio is built in the bar, definitely come on back down and let's do another one. Yeah.
Sounds great. Awesome. Okay. Thank you for having me. It was a great time.
Okay, everyone, have a good afternoon. All right, take care.